Hi everyone, my name is Tori, this is Double Life, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to a recommendations video where I'm going to be talking about bingeable books. Books that you can pick up and you are not going to want to put down. Some of these are like series, some of these are duets, anything like that, but I thought this would be really fun to do. So yeah, I have like 6 books to talk about, so let's just go ahead and dive right in because I've read some of these more recently and I'm excited to talk about them. The first book I have to talk about is part of a duet, and that is The Love of My Next Life by Britt Benson. So the second book is My Love and All the Next. I forgot. The pictures are here. This duet is toxic, is angsty, is giving 2016 super toxic vibes, and I loved it. So in the first books, they are like in high school, right out of high school, I think. You see them when they're younger. You see them when they're in high school, and you see kind of how our female character is friends. She has this best friend, and her brother, her best friend's brother, is just wild. He's a wild child. He's getting caught up in all of these things. And you see how hard that's been on her best friend because, you know, like she has to go and take care of him when he gets blackout drunk or all this and all this stuff like that. But you see that they kind of have this interesting romance that starts when they're younger. And there are certain things that happen in this book and towards the end of this book that makes you want to pick up the next book. And it's like years later, and this duet is so freaking good. Like, I was actually surprised when I started reading this. This has been on my TBR for years. I got this special edition from Hello Lovely back in 2022. So this has been on my TBR since 2022, and I literally took 2 years for me to read this book, and I do not regret it at all. This duet is so good. I do know the third book just came out in this series, which follows her best friend, like her other best friend. You see in the second book she has like another female character that's super close to her, and it's her story, which she is very intriguing to me, and I'm very excited to read her book. But I listened to the audios of these and they are so good. I was tearing up in the second book, but I'll tell you, when you get started, you just get caught up in their like messy and angstiness and all of the, and their lives, and you see how like secrets were held from this person and that person, and lies were told and all of this stuff like that, and you see how like just a mess it just become, and I loved it. I loved it so much. Another one that's super angsty and gave me everything I needed when I read it was Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. So yes, I'm late on this train. I know this book has been out for a while. When did this book come out? This is the indie copy. Oh, 2021. I missed the copyright page. This book came out in 2021 and it is now 2024, and I just read it, and when I tell you, when I started reading this book, I could not stop. I literally could not stop myself because you're introduced to 2 main male characters and you're like, but which one is she gonna be with? So I wouldn't say it's like a true love triangle-y, but this book is so good. I loved it so much. I just loved how, as a female character, and she's 18, I feel like even though you're older, like I'm almost 30, I could still relate to her and like making decisions and not wanting to make the wrong one and just being anxious of all of that stuff. And she's starting college for the first time, and I remember when I started college I was super anxious about that too, and all of this stuff like that. This is so messy and so angsty. Like, both of these books are so messy and angsty, and that's really what drives it for me, is how messy and how angsty it is, and I loved it. So that's another one that I want more people to read because I really liked that one as well. Now, the next and last contemporary one that I have to talk about is Skies Over Caledonia by Samantha Young. So this was my second Samantha Young book. I read the On Dublin Street book, like I just read it last year, and it was very good. I teared up in that book, okay? But I hadn't read anything of her new series, and I was able to get an audio arc of this book, and I flew through it. So this is like romantic suspense, and I will say with romantic suspense, you are definitely all caught up in the who did it, I have to keep reading, I can't really put this book down type of a thing. And I really enjoyed this one because of that, because you were like, this is happening and that's happening, and I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but there's a certain part where I was like, not happening. This is not happening. I cannot believe this is happening. I'm writing like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry because this happened. And I loved it. If you're looking for like a marriage of convenience where like the my wife kicks in, like when he's like, this is my wife, that moment I will never forget. Like, I could not stop listening to this audiobook. It was very good, and it makes me want to read the rest of the series because I have a feeling all the books are going to give me those same vibes where they're just like, keep reading, you can't stop reading, and it's just like literally crazy. So yeah, I'm very excited to go back and read these books. I do know that the next book in the series is coming out soon. That's a surprise pregnancy, so I don't know if I'm going to jump into that one right away, but I did love Skies Over Caledonia. I loved it. Now, the last 2 books I have to talk about are both books that that are fantasy romances. Yes, fantasy romances. The first one that I have to talk about is The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee. So this is the first in a series. I don't know how many books are going to be in this series, but I love this cover. It's the special edition, her signing special editions that she had. Oh, so pretty. I'm so glad I got this. And I recently read this book and I flew through it. Like, once you get to like 20%, I could not stop reading this book. And this is like a shorter fantasy, so it's very easy on the world building. It's very simplistic, and she writes it that way. She's not a hardcore romantasy or hardcore fantasy writer, but I don't think that hinders the writing in any way. It just, like, I could not stop reading because, like, these characters, you can tell that there's tension there. They hate each other. They really go at it. And then you get to, like, oh, you know she's keeping secrets. You know that he knows certain things that he's not telling her. The tension between them for the romance. But then you have this one part towards the end of the book where you're like, I know this is about to happen. This is not about to happen. I cannot believe this is about to happen. And he does it. And I was like, I need the next book so badly. And of course the next book is not out yet, and that's okay. That's okay. But I really enjoyed this book. I want more people to read it, so yeah, if you haven't already, pick this up. It's on Kindle Unlimited right now, and I promise you, you won't be disappointed. It is just such a good time, such a fun romantasy, such a fun fantasy romance that you're not going to want to put down. The next book I have to talk about is one that I recently read, and I did a whole dedicated reading vlog on this book, and that is When the Moon Hatched. This is a thick chunker. Look, I got this paperback, and I was not expecting this to be so big, okay? But if you were looking for a true romantasy, true fantasy world, like from start to scratch fantasy, this book is for you, okay? This book did not let me down. And I will say, the beginning is a little slow because I DNF'd this book at like 20% back in February when it came out, and I recently, like I said, just did a vlog in June with this, reading this whole book, and I flew through it after like that 20% mark where I stopped. I remember exactly what chapter I like soft DNF'd it. The chapter after that, shit hits the fan in a way that, like, it does not stop in this book, like, after that chapter. So it's one of those things where it's like, once you get to 20%, things start happening and things start going, and you never, literally, you never wanted to stop. You never want to put this book down. I actually had a hard time putting this book down to, like, work or put this book down to go to sleep because I really enjoyed it. So yeah, this is another one that I flew through that I think a lot of people would love. Also, definitely, it's worth the hype. I get it now. I get it with that book. But those are just some bingeable books that I have recently read that I wanted to share with you guys. You can let me know a bingeable book in the comments down below that you enjoyed recently. For the emoji, you can drop me a unicorn emoji in the comments down below. If you made it this far, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content for me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.